Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
Wife of 7 years cheated on me. Now everyone in my circle, friends, her parents and my parents are suggesting me to take her back. Don't know what to do. I met my wife 10 years ago when we were both in college. We dated for 3 years before being married for 7. She is a gorgeous and great lady who is adored by everyone in my family. I discovered my wife was having an affair with a mutual acquaintance of ours 4 months ago. It was a 1.5-month affair and she was being extremely shady at the time, ignoring my messages and turning me down every time I tried to start. I suspected something was wrong. I snooped but discovered nothing, so I hired a private investigator and had evidence within a week. She was having an affair with a mutual acquaintance of ours. When I challenged her, she admitted to having an affair. She instantly began crying and pleading. When they are caught, they basically do all of the standard cheater moves. I pressed her for all the specifics, including a full timetable, and she gave me everything at night, mainly because she was having an affair on another phone. She told me she only had with him 4 times and that the rest of the time they were just hanging around and having fun. 3 days later, more sobbing and self-pitying, she informed me that she had destroyed all contracts with him and would do whatever it took to make our marriage work. She offered MC. I refused, telling her to leave me alone. I felt injured, misled, and degraded. She relocated to live with her parents. She began messaging me every hour about how much she loves me, how much she regrets this, and how she would do everything to preserve our marriage. After 2 days of absolutely ignoring her, I texted her that we were divorcing. She panicked out and began to have emotional breakdowns, and my phone began to fill up with calls from her parents, sister, and friends, telling me not to terminate the marriage and to give her another opportunity. Later that day, she wrote a lengthy post on Facebook about how she screwed up and how she damaged her marriage, essentially confessing her affair publicly. But I was certain about my choice. She even insisted on a lie detector exam to prove to me that she had never cheated in the past. Blah blah. I asked for some alone time to absorb everything. Since then, we've been living apart. All of this happened 4 months ago. I requested for divorce last week, and she burst into tears, pleading for another chance. She then went to my parents and requested them to persuade me not to divorce. My folks and her parents attempted to persuade me to sort things out last night. And practically all of our common acquaintances told me how courageous she was to reveal her affair when she made her FB post. And that she loves me and that I should give her a chance. I'm on the verge of a nervous breakdown. She is sincerely contrite and regrets this, I can guarantee you. I adore her, and her betrayal pains me the most. I'm at a loss on what to do. How are things going for anybody who is reconciled? Small update. First and foremost, thank you to each and every one of you. The amount of support I received in the previous 15 hours was incredible. I apologize for not responding to your comments, and in PM, I'm attempting to address some frequent queries. We don't have children yet, but we want to have them when the epidemic is ended. We both run businesses and collaborate. I haven't spoken to her in about 3 months solely for business purposes. Here's the latest. After reading all of your comments in PM, I decided to contact my parents and inform them that I was filing for divorce. After an hour, she contacted me weeping, pleading with me not to terminate it, and she encouraged me to at least see her in person since I hadn't seen her or spoken about the affair since the D-Day. Every time I spoke, I disregarded the conversation about the affair. She said that she would explain everything to me, that I will hear her side of the story, and that whatever choice I choose, she will respect. Because I don't know what was going on and don't know much about the affair, it will provide as closure for me. As a result, I've decided to meet her on Sunday. That's all there is to it. Update. We agreed to meet on Sunday. She was in a bad mood. I haven't seen her in a long time. We discussed our relationship, and I requested her to remove her FB post, which she did. I inquired about the affair. Why did she cheat on me? She admitted to me that she was stupid and selfish at the time. She didn't hold me responsible for the affair. She informed me that they were casually conversing when he began talking about his affairs. She gave me texts from both of them, in which he was boasting about his exciting life outside of marriage. She expressed her curiosity, and one thing led to another. There were multiple messages in which he instructed my wife on how to conceal the affair. He advised her to get a second phone and have it in her vehicle at all times. I made screenshots of everything. She then pleaded for forgiveness, which I did, but I couldn't get over this. Divorce had always been my default choice. She pleaded with me to consider marital counseling. She said that she would never date anybody else again. If she does, it will be my fault. I'm not particularly bothered. We will continue to collaborate, because this was both of our dream projects. In terms of our mutual buddy, the last I heard, his wife and he had chosen to reconcile, because children were involved. I feel terrible for his wife. She had no idea what type of monster he was. We're divorcing, and I've determined never to be in another relationship again. Update 2. Everything in my life is going apart today. 3 days after I informed her of my choice, she drank phenyl. Thankfully, she was rescued and is still recovering. Every day, I pay her a visit to see how she's doing. I feel terrible and really guilty. We made the decision to reconcile and work on our marriage. She would be totally healed in a month, and I have to leave the nation to start a new life. Everyone in our buddy group has dubbed me a heartless in the last 2 weeks. My 2 dearest pals were the only individuals that stuck by me throughout this. I'm quite thankful to have them. My parents were furious because I had driven her to suicide. I also discovered that both of my parents were adulterers. My father was the first to cheat on my mother. My mother then pursued a vengeance affair. That explains a lot about why they were so supportive of my wife. I adore my wife, and I can't bear the thought of her inflicting pain on herself. I assumed that the divorce would be a fresh chapter in our life, and that we would be able to move on. However, things did not go as planned. She still desires our marriage and wants to be with me. When I initially wrote on this, sir, you guys were really kind and helpful. Thank you so much, Stangers. Story 2. GF, 28, wastes incredible amounts of food and gets upset when I ask her to work on changing this. It is driving me nuts. This year, I, male 27, moved in with my GF, female 28. We've been together for 8 years, 7 of which we were LDR. We used to see each other twice a month throughout the LDR phase of our relationship. She lost her job at the beginning of this year and was having problems finding a new one, so I invited her to relocate to my city and live with me. It's been a pleasure living together. Aside from that, she wastes a lot of food. Her issue is that she is a very fussy eater when it comes to homemade cuisine. I'm referring to the fact that if there's a little additional salt, she won't eat it. If the pasta isn't absolutely al dente, she'll leave it on the table and go get dinner. NGL irritates me at times, and if I had done the same as a youngster, my mother would have my. She usually orders a bit too much food in case she becomes hungry later, but she never eats the leftovers. I used to live alone, and I understand that we seldom complete the food we order, but I always ate it at the following meal. I went abroad for 10 days for work at the beginning of November, and when I returned, all I saw was leftover food. 3 cartons of pizza, spaghetti, and Indian cuisine, all half empty. When I questioned whether she intended to finish it all, she just instructed me to throw it away. I squandered away food worth $200-250. She apparently ordered all of the food for those 10 days since she can't/doesn't want to cook. I just recently discovered this about her despite the fact that we have only been living together for a short time. I asked her whether she did the same thing when she lived alone, and she replied she did since she doesn't like stale food. For me, food at noon isn't stale by supper, and I've always eaten leftovers. I'm not saying she has to eat everything I prepare, but she should at least warn me ahead of time so I don't make it for 2 people. Both food and money are being squandered right now. When LDR and I went to see her, she never had anything in the pantry. That may have been my sign. There were several indicators that indicated her lifestyle, but I didn't notice any. I sat her down and told her this isn't right, and her reaction was that it's just who she is, and I should accept her imperfections since she would have done the same for me. How do I handle this? Is there counseling for this type of thing since her acts do not seem to be normal?